Hello, and welcome to Same Crime, Different Time. I'm Jennifer Chambers. You know that I'm passionate about uncovering the truth. Here, we're taking that passion to the dark heart of the Pacific Northwest. As a true crime and historical writer, I've spent years immersed in the chilling archives of this region. Each week, we'll explore cases, both ancient and modern, of murder, unexplained events, strange places, and those who have simply vanished. We'll dig into the research, connecting the dots between past and present, revealing the threads of mystery that weave through our incredible, yet often unsettling, landscape. Prepare to be captivated as we discover that while times may change, the darkest aspects of human nature remain hauntingly the same.
Picture this. It's past midnight at Cultus Lake. The water is still. The forest is holding its breath. Then, something moves. But tonight we're not just chasing shadows. We're talking about 4 of Oregon's strangest spiritual micro-worlds, from a rumored Bigfoot-worshipping sect deep in the Deschutes, to a black-gated temple guarded by stone lions and desert gods, to a forgotten commune, and finally a modern movement that streamed its prophecy straight into Oregon before ending in tragedy. These groups may not share theology, but they do share something. Secrecy, charisma, and a sense that the world beyond these trees, beyond that gate, holds answers that you can't get anywhere else. Welcome to Same Crime, Different Time. I'm Jen Chambers, and tonight, we slip into Oregon's esoteric underground. Stay close, and don't wander off that trail. Picture that moonlit lake deep in the Deschutes National Forest one more time. It's called Cultus Lake. It's a large one, and it looks peaceful until the howls begin. Local Bigfoot believers have long considered this place sacred ground. Podcast stories from Oregon outdoorsman Randy Silvey describe nights filled with tree knocks, gravel tossed at tents, and something bipedal walking the perimeter of camps. Some campers talk about red light beams. Others talk about massive creatures that hunt coyotes. These are not, obviously, organized church meetings. There's no deacon of the Sasquatch here, although if it were going to be anywhere, it would totally be here. But scattered across Reddit and Bigfoot forums, there are so many of them. There are these weird whispers. People talk about offerings left in clearings, about leaves that are placed in patterns, maybe, and pennies that are arranged in spirals. They also talk about midnight gatherings by the lake. Little circles of devotion, improvised and quiet. People gathering. Is it a cult? No, not in the structural sense. There's no hierarchy, no doctrine, no charismatic Bigfoot Pope, although that's a great name for a band. But what we do see is fascinating. There's rumors of a folk religion forming itself around shared experiences. Nature becomes the cathedral, and the myth is the liturgy. This is where the cult definitions get slippery. A group doesn't need matching robes to behave religiously. Sometimes all it takes is a dark lake and a shared belief in something large, howling from beyond the tree line. Who knows? Head southeast of Portland, though, and you'll find a place that feels like it slipped out of a dream or a horror movie. This is absolutely terrifying. I've seen pictures. I've meant to get up there. I've seen a lot, and you can definitely see pictures. I'll put a link to it on my website. But the Temple of Oculus Anubis. You are in it looks like just a residential area, lots and lots of trees, lots of leaves on the ground. And then you walk up to this looming, ginormous black gate and 2 stone pyramids. There's a statue of the Egyptian goddess Sekhmet guarding the path. I think she's a goddess. She could be a god. He could be a god. I'm not sure. Sekhmet, though, is definitely the name of the creature that guards the path. And it's called the Temple of Oculus Anubis. It's extremely secretive. And rumors over the years that I found have included things like secret Egyptian societies, maybe a Freemason area where they perform Freemason ceremonies. There's underground tunnels, perhaps. Some people said that it's a portal to another realm, and naturally, a cult. The internet made it worse. Videos claimed that they saw ritual gatherings, and blog posts called the whole thing sinister. People drove by this place super slow with cameras like they were scouting a scene for True Detective Oregon edition. But here's where the myth meets the facts. Investigations by local journalists and PNW Haunts and Homicides found no evidence of cult activity, criminal or otherwise. What exists appears to be a private property. It could be just an owner that has a flair. Maybe they like esoteric architecture. Who knows? And also, they found that there's a registered nonprofit that has a mission around healing and spiritual study. In other words, it's dramatic landscaping, not a death cult. But there are so many rumors online, so many, and so many people saying that they saw something crazy there. But it's really interesting. Why do people assume the worst? I think it's because the unknown loves a good costume. And nothing says like mysterious secrets, quite like Egyptian statuary in the middle of the forest. Super random. This place is a perfect example of how aesthetics alone can generate folklore around it. Once anybody whispers cult, the label sticks, even if the only ritual on site is someone sweeping their patio. It's interesting, there's a place down here also in Eugene. I'm in the Eugene area, so a couple hours south. It's fascinating. It's not quite as scary as the architecture of the Temple of Anubis, but there is a property on a road around the outside of Eugene, and it has large Egyptian-style temples and strange words and a lot of other very odd statuary all around. And it was the kind of place you felt like you should be afraid of, but you didn't know why. And I made up lots of stories in my head about what it could be. I don't know what it is, but I suspect it's something pretty similar. Just somebody's house or somebody's group. Who knows? Let's rewind for a second. In early 20th century Oregon, they had a lot of beliefs that blossomed in all directions. Not every movement made headlines. And I've written about a bunch of movements. I mean, that time period really lends itself to quackery, honestly. The world wasn't as connected as it is now. And so people's belief was so much easier to come by. Historical accounts talk to an experience of a communal group that was in Oregon that was centered around a divine feminine figure. They called it the Mother God. They practiced healing rituals and prophecy, they shared labor, and they had really strict communal living. Some saw these people as heretics, and other people saw them as kind of just an odd but harmless spiritual community. But the real question is, was it a cult, or was it just a group ahead of its time that embraced the idea of feminine divinity? It's not the same cult as Mother God is today. But groups back in this time period often flourished because they offered belonging and a purpose. It was a break from the patriarchal structures and a promise of intimacy with other people. Spiritual intimacy, that is. In a rural early 1900s world where hope was scarce, imagine how bleak your life would be. Just to live, just to eat. Religion dominated. And this movement stood out because it gave women central authority, which was a radical idea for that period. Were there strict rules? Likely. Were there harms? I mean, some reports hinted at the idea of social control, but nothing like the frameworks of modern cults. Mostly, it just appears that this was a spiritual commune that was mislabeled through the lens of fear. Now, another cult, quote unquote, is called La Luz del Mundo, which was founded in Mexico in 1926, and it now has a significant presence across the West Coast, including Oregon. Their theology promises prophecy and purity. They have strict codes of morality that you have to live by, and a strong centralized leadership. And the last point is where the controversy enters when you start talking about this group. Survivor interviews talk about the environments within the group of control and pressure and social isolation. People have accused this group of authoritarian hierarchies and exploiting people. But meanwhile, the local congregations often present themselves as family first and real tight-knit, vibrant communities. This movement's presence in Oregon is a lot like its presence in the other places that it is. Everyone's devoted on one hand, and there's serious allegations on the other. That creates a lot of tension in every city that it is. When does a religion become a cult? When leadership becomes unquestionable, I think. When devotion requires obedience instead of choice. When leaving comes with fear instead of freedom. There's so many cults that you can think of just off the drop of a hat. And all of that really boils down to power, right? So what connects this funny Bigfoot folk group and a mysterious Egyptian-themed estate and a commune from the 1920s and then a modern international church? More than you think. They all hinge on the idea of secrecy and charisma, and they are founded on imaginative myth-making. They use the outsider identity to kind of cohesively get people together. And they use people's hunger for belonging. When followers lose their autonomy, these communities teeter into cult territory, especially in narratives where someone claims that they have special access to the truth. And as a student of cults, pretty much everyone tells you that you don't know the truth, they know the truth. And humans are storytelling creatures. Sometimes these stories bring comfort. Sometimes they unravel into harm. Oregon's cult stories remind us that not every hidden community is dangerous. Not at all. But all of them expose that human desire to belong to somewhere, to something bigger than yourself. Whether you worship cryptids or gods or cosmic belief systems, these groups show how easily faith can slide underground and become controlled and what happens when it's left there too long. If you've got stories or rumors or unexplained corners that you want on the show, you can email me at jbchambersmail@gmail.com. It was fun to talk about these interesting, esoteric, underground places today. I have researched them all separately, and I didn't really have a way to put them all in under one umbrella. So this isn't like specific cases, but more specific organizations. So it was really fun to talk about this today. I love the idea of, I've studied cults, like I said, in college and so much reading. I always like to say that there's a quote from The Office. I can't quite remember it, but basically, I think that I could be a cult follower if it was attractive enough. I think any of us could be, if we're honest. You always want to say you'd be the leader, but but no one really, being in a cult is no laughing matter. So, but I think the whole idea of why humans follow other humans is fascinating. And it's really interesting when it's based on folklore. Who knows? I keep saying that, but there's more things in heaven and earth. I don't know. I'm Jen Chambers. Thanks for being with me today and exploring these funny little corners of the world. This is Same Crime, Different Time. Stay curious, stay cautious, and keep asking what happens. I'll see you next week.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Thanks for listening today. Please review and rate wherever you listen to podcasts. That really helps out the show. And please leave us a voicemail at the Spotify link. Also, you can always feel free to send us an email at sc dtmail@gmail.com or www.jennifer-chambers.com.